Welcome back, everybody, to what very well could be the final game of the day here at the Unified Grand Prix lower bracket final. We got Zoos Gaming, we got No Org, and so far, No Org are the ones that have been absolutely taken over here on the Rift today. A 2-0 start going up against their opponents, but Zoos Gaming have thrown us a curveball coming into game number 3. For the first time over the course of this event in its entirety, Zoos Gaming has chosen to play on the blue side, so we're switching it up.
All right, well, let's see what they're going to try to do with the blue side draft that they wouldn't have been able to do with the red side draft, because they had two very similar in identity, at least, in terms of like the mid-game team compositions on the red side. And now let's see if they pivot here on blue. But also, I'm curious, what is going to happen now that they're most likely going to be getting counterpicked against all the time? That's going to be a little bit interesting as well. And No Org being 2-0 here, they must be sitting really comfortable this time around as we head right into the draft phase.
Absolutely, man. No Org is in the best seat in the house right about now. They have time to learn, time to experiment. They can do some crazy stuff if they want to, or if they just want to run it back, they can keep that going. But I tell you right now, the draft is already looking much different. We will not get to see Twisted Fate this game. We will not get to see Kaisa this game. Remember, both of our previous games, it was value, prioritizing that Kaisa, and No Org making sure they always first pick it for him on the blue side. They clearly have a lot of respect for this champion. They don't want it going over the other way. Rel also banned out, even though Rhino didn't have the greatest performance on it in terms of being synced up with his team. Still a very powerful champion. They don't want to be risking that. Twisted Fate and Tom Kench banned out here from the side of Zoos. What's the last one going to be here, fellas? One more ban to go. And the choice is... Seraphine. Okay. Makes sense.
Well, Seraphine being banned away on blue side, I think is a little bit worrisome, given how strong she is in the current meta. I always get a little bit worried when I see that. Now, No Org, they have option to just leave open all of the power junglers, Udyr and Lilia. We're probably going to see another mirror of those two unless one of them gets tagged away here.
Right.
And maybe Zoos want to actually go for the Lilia as the Orianna gets taken away.
Okay, so the Azir that's been banned out previously is still around. Orianna banned away instead. And just for clarification, for my own sake as much as anything, you would have much rather seen the Seraphine banned away on red side or force blue into picking it, right? You don't want to see blue wasted on Seraphine, because if you have the first pick, you should be able to play Seraphine. It's not a mechanically complex champion. Anybody should be able to play it, and it's so strong. Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure we're on the same page here, but we're also on the page where we get to see the Emperor. So we're talking about late game. You were mentioning how the previous two compositions were always going for those mid games and those big spikes. Well, Azir scales very powerfully.
Yeah, Azir is going to come out here as the B1 for Zoos Gaming. So they're really putting a lot of emphasis on trying to get control of this champion. And then let's see what ends up happening here as... All right, well...
Okay.
Seems like Senna is going to get picked up. Now, we don't know if this is going to be fasting Senna or not yet, so we'll have to see what transpires. And what is going to be the second accompanying pick? Now, Tom Kench was banned away. Obviously, we've seen an LEC. We've seen Sion be accompanying it. We've seen Maokai be another champion. Set is a old one that used to accompany her that we have not seen in a while.
Maybe they'll be down there together. Set still, of course, has the potential to be a flex pick, so not certain whether or not we're going to see that flex revealed before the second half of the bans come around. We all know how powerful flex picks can be in terms of reducing the efficiency of opponents' bans in that second phase. Now, what do you got here on the side of Zoos Gaming? We need to see some powerful picks here. Okay, so Ezreal picked up more powerful long-range capabilities. What are your thoughts on the new meta Ezreal builds with the Duskblade and the Essence Reaver and all that kind of stuff, LS?
Not a very big fan of the Duskblade variation. Not a very big fan of it. The Mythicless Ezreal is definitely a build, though, with the Essence Reaver and Miramana going on from that. We've seen it in the LCK. I mean, we've seen it pretty much everywhere pop up. The thing that strikes me a little bit bizarre by this is that Ezreal doesn't really answer fasting Senna all that well. Senna historically actually used to be an answer to Zoe Ezreal team compositions, because eventually Senna hits a breakpoint where her range is obnoxious enough, and then her healing, she just resists Ezreal's poke, and he doesn't have enough to really dish out or throw out. Udyr was paired there on Zoos Gaming side, but there is an enormous amount of scaling on the side of their team composition that is also a little bit slow. Vigar is a champion that is really good here against Azir. He vacuum counters him, also good against Udyr.
He can block Udyr from being able to run anywhere. I'll tell you, as someone who only plays strict melee champions that run at you, Veigar's cage is some of the most annoying things in League of Legends. Just throwing that thing up on a low cooldown, preventing you from ever being able to have the entry point. Very, very tricky stuff here with this pick. And of course, that also still means the set is still a flex pick. We don't know exactly where that one is going here on the side of No Org. So how are they going to choose to play things here as we get into the second half of the bans? Yuumi banned away, so they don't want the Yuumi-Ezreal combo to be able to just keep firing stuff at him from outside of range the entire time. Lilia banned out by the side of Zoos. They're approaching things from that angle that you were talking about. Hey, the S tiers were still around. It was Udyr, it was Lilia. We could just see a 1-for-1 on those. Well, Zeus says, all right, you can't have the 1-for-1 anymore. You got to show us something else.
Well, generally with Vigar, you're going to want to actually go for a physical damage jungler. So I am very surprised Zeus ban away Lilia. And the reason I say that is because imagine you're against Vigar and Lilia. Well, Merc Treads are now your best friend, which really hurts Vigar's cage. It hurts Lilia as well. And then you just go Verdant Barrier. And then neither of them are dealing any damage to you. You don't die. So it's counterintuitive to ban away the Lilia when really you should be imploring them to pick a champion like that against you, because you would get so much effectiveness out of itemization as well as even an early laning phase with that Verdant Barrier. So Vayne now being banned away. So they're giving credit to No Org to, I guess, pick Vayne top on R5, which is very surprising. I imagine we're going to have Graves come out here. If not Graves, then we're probably going to see something like, I don't know, Jarvan, I guess, accompany. What?
You got Elise. LS, you wanted Graves, you wanted Jarvan. Best I can do is Elise. Take it or leave it. You got Elise.
I'm leaving it. Take it away.
I'm leaving it.
So, I'm definitely. You can have that one. I'll tell you that much. I insist.
Okay. So, over on the other side, obviously, the Elise falls into a lot of the same traps that you were talking about the Lilia in terms of how easy it makes the itemization for your opponents here in this game. So,
yeah.
I mean, if you're Zeus, you got to be happy to see this, right?
Yeah, I mean, you should be, in theory, but if you... I think if they were thinking about the stuff that we were mentioning, that the Lilia probably wouldn't have been banned away, but this is even better because Elise now comes with a lot of pressure to try to get ahead. She does have gank set up down in bottom. If Set lands the face breaker, chains it into Senna's stun as well, then obviously Elise Cocoon going to be there for the follow-up. Bard comes in on the side of Zeus as well as Ornn, and so now we're understanding why the Vayne was banned away. And can Viper bring out something like Gangplank? They need a big AD. Holy, it's birth in hell, this trap.
Are you okay? Are you okay, bud? Okay.
Saved.
Okay. All right. We got the Tristana locked in instead. No R5 Renekton. It has been banned from these lands. We will not allow that here. But Tristana locked in. So they got Tristana, they got Veigar, they got Senna. We have so much more scaling on both sides than we've seen in either of the previous games. I mean, Ornn over there rounding out the blue side roster as well. We know how well this champion scales. How are you feeling overall now that everything is done about this draft? Who won it?
This one is, I still feel like No Org ends up coming out ahead here in this draft. Vigar, even though there's the Elise and the opponents are going to have Merc Treads and whatnot, he is going to be really obnoxious because you have to respect the Senna and the Tristana in the later stages of the game. Elise is definitely going to fall off a cliff. That much is definitely known inside of this game, unless Anda gets really, really, really far ahead. But realistically, in a straight-up team fight, in mid-late game, Vigar's cage, very obnoxious. Tristana and Senna, there's no reliable answer because Ornn, when he goes for his initial engage, Vigar shuts down the follow-up. And that is going to be the really big problem. And then Set, I mean, he's the bodyguard to the club, and there's no getting to Tristana and Senna.
You're not allowed into the club. Your t-shirt looks like trash and you got the wrong shoes. The boy's throwing you right back out onto the sidewalk and nobody's having a good time. So much denial. So much cohesion between these champions. And it's on No Org too, because that's one thing that I did want to mention. It's what you said at the end of game number 1. When it looked like No Org was throwing for a while, Zeus was coming back, and in that mid-game team fight where you mentioned the experience of these players coming into play at later stages in the game, how they know how to maintain coordination, they know how to continue to fight well. In a composition like this, where you do have to survive against some big engage mechanisms and everyone has to play their role correctly, I think it's good for a squad like No Org to be able to trust each other to make that happen.
And we'll see how Zoos are going to manage to juggle the early game aggression of the Elise, because this is going to be the most aggression that has been possible by No Org with their opening jungle pick here, and we'll see how they're going to try to stabilize. And it strikes me weird, they tripled down on the scaling and control team composition. So let's see what they're going to manage to do about it, because if things just start going even slightly rough for them, there's no way to come back in this game. They have a little bit of wave clear on Azir, but realistically, these champions don't have a leg to stand on if they're behind in base levels and behind in items.
Yeah, now that you bring up the wave clear, it is pretty interesting, because we've got Udyr, who can slap the minions in Phoenix stance. We've got Ezreal, who shoots out a Q at a single target. Ornn can burp on them. And Azir he's kind of it. I mean, I guess you can throw out a Bard ulti to try to save your turret from a Shelly charge if they're getting advantages early on in the game. But honestly, these guys need to be able to play aggro. They need to be able to play from a position of power. And again, I want to bring up what I said at the start. This is the first time this entire tournament that this team is playing on the blue side. Their strategies, their practice, their experience is all from the red side. So there's a lot hinging on this here for Zoos.
Well, we are just waiting a bit here to get into this game, and we can talk about some of the matchups right now. So Ornn is under enormous pressure against the Tristana up in top lane. Udyr most likely going to start on his red side of the map because he needs to try to move top lane in order to alleviate pressure for Ornn. This could mean that Elise likewise going to start on the blue side and try to just path up to mirror it, because as long as Elise latches onto Udyr and prevents him from influencing the lane, Tristana will take it over completely by herself. On the flip side, Zeus could maybe acknowledge this and just have Udyr start blue and path down, and then just basically be like, well, Ornn,
good luck, bud. See you in 20 minutes.
We know that
don't
this
forget
is a
to
possibility.
sound the horn.
Yep. But Elise just has to sort of be everywhere and keep the Udyr from doing everything. And all of the lanes are equipped to outright win on their own, and that is really frightening for Zeus.
All right, we're finally into the game. We had a brief delay there for a second, and now we are ready to go. Remember, everybody out there watching right now, if No Org wins this, they are going to play in the finals tomorrow. If you want to see more League of Legends today, you got to see Zeus walk away with the win on this one. But man, based on how it's been going so far, No Org seems to have their number. The last time these teams played earlier on here in this tournament, back during the best of 3 stages, remember that it was Zeus who beat No Org 2-1, knocked No Org down to the losers bracket. So if No Org wins here, especially if they 3-0 win, man, that is the tastiest kind of revenge.
Yeah, absolutely. And right now, Alorum in a thumbs-up war here against the Tristana. And we'll see if he tries to innovate. He smashes the hammer into the ground. Tristana channels the recall.
Oh, yes. This is the kind of BM we really want to
look.
Wins. Viper. Yeah,
she won.
Tristana, she made him back away. She slammed the gun into the ground and just said, move. Get out of here. My river. Yep. And the river is now owned by Viper up there. Going to go ahead and just look here real quick. Make sure we're not missing. Wait a second. Elise running the press the attack. Is that super standard?
I am not, I'm actually, listen, Elise is not a champ I've seen. I come in Korea, we don't pick her here, okay?
Okay, well, hey man, I'm in North America. I don't see a lot of Elise either, and she's got press the attack, which is normally used by marksman or Trundle. So, I don't know if this is correct. So, we'll see. All right, we'll leave that one. That's a coin up in the air. Cool, that's great. Azir with the Comet for extra laning power up against the Veigar. Everything else is pretty par for the course. Fleet footwork on the set to try to maintain a little bit of extra HP, but down here on the bottom side, they're already into a fight. Big's going to get ignited, running away. The boy is taken very low with a little bit more damage coming out with a flash for flash. Value's still doing just fine, but now he has to back away because he's in a 1v2. Value ain't doing just fine no more. Flash coming out from the Senna there too. That is 3 summoner spells forced out from No Org here in the bottom lane, 2 minutes in.
Yeah, this is a pretty big win for No Org. Well, Zeus, they get a lot of value there. They end up winning out on the Summoner War, but Norg with the teleport on set, Ezreal and Bard, they're going to need to look for a reset. You see Rhino actually going for it. Big gank coming in here.
Oh, Darkwing's getting himself away as Onda goes underneath the turret. Onda needs a little bit more damage, goes up into the air here with a repel, but he can't quite find enough to kill. Onda's in the wrong spot. 5 fire die to the turret. Really big meme going after Onda here with a little bit more damage. They go over the blast cone together. First blood plus a side of execution over to Zoos. What in the hell is No Org thinking?
What? Okay, Five Fire. I don't think he's behind enemy lines
back
right now.
What in the world is going on? You just teleported back into 3 people. Five Fire. Okay, he makes it a 1-for-1. He has to use both summoner spells to do it. LS?
Well, listen, Vygar gets a takedown, so he gets a little bit of ability power there, so hashtag worth for Five Fire, okay? So his lane is totally ruined. No, we see what happens here. So Event Horizon ends up being cast, but Onda not able to land the cocoon onto Dark Winds, ends up running away. I thought that he would just turn around at that point. Mission successful. You got the flash on Azir, you come back a little bit later, and he'll be guaranteed kill. Oh my god.
Poor little fella. He's running underneath the turret and Elise just dips into the sky and all of a sudden he gets blasted with 2 turret shots for 80% of his health. That's that was not the turn of events that I was expecting this game to take 3.5 minutes in. I'm just going to be perfectly honest with you about that one. But that's where we are. Zoos is okay with it. It's a nice, good start for them. Azir 0, 1, and 2 here. You can see in the inventory already having the Null Magic Mantle and the shoes, recognizing the power of, hey, when you're up against Veigar and Elise, Mercury treads fit like Cinderella's missing slipper, man. It feels awesome to go for that purchase nice and early. Oh, wait, no, what is this? Oh, okay. Rhino tries to get away with a magical journey. Remember, he's got no flash. Value misses the root, and the missed root won't even matter because Big's coming back and he secures the kill. Game's tied up.
The game is very tied up right now, and this is good news that the bot side is having so much success for the side of No Org. Now, on the flip side, Alorum's doing a very good job here against the Tristana. He almost has the Bramble Vest. Viper really failing to actually achieve a meaningful advantage here against Ornn in the early stages. So you can understand the Tristana pick. Basically perma-shove him in, try to get an advantage, but there's no advantage to be had right now. Up in top lane, a little bit of a CS advantage, but that's a given due to the nature of the matchup. But Alorum definitely on the winning side of it right now. Five Fire going to try to farm underneath the turret. And right now, I mean, we're just in a waiting game again. We'll have to see what Elise can do. Olaf built Ninja Tab Eyes probably because he's worried about the damage from Trist and Senna later on, but this is going to mean that Vygar and Elise both have more value.
All right. Drake secured by the side of Zoos. They're already ready to go. Everything seems all right here. 8.7 to 8.8 thousand. Very early first Drake here before even 6 minutes into the game. So Udyr at least getting some value for the squad like that. Down here in the bottom lane, let's see if Big overextends himself. Yes, he will. And with really big Meme and Rhino coming up from behind, the big man could be in a big bad spot, but with a TP showing up, no, he's not. Onda grabs 1 kill. Viper's going in from another. A TP shows up to prevent what could be another casualty here. No Org winning out so far here in the trade. Nice damage coming down onto Viper. No Org does get themselves away in time. Alorum TP's late, doesn't find a lot of success. The ulti not being spent for much there either.
Yeah, and that's a really big win for No Org. Yet again, Zoos are trying to make these forceful plays. They teleport an Ornn down into bot lane, and this is really surprising. So you see, they lock up the set. They don't have the damage to do anything. Senna right behind Onda here as well. Just finished getting here into bot lane. Tristana came in with the TP. I thought Ornn would say, okay, Tristana's there, but she's not going to get anything. There's no dragon. Let me just shove out top waves. But no, he TP's in. But no one has any flashes. No one can follow up to reach the backline. So it would have been a suicide mission. The waves now horrendous. And Zoos just completely throwing away the advantage that they had secured so early on in mid lane.
Feels bad for Zoos down there in that bottom side, man. Hey, but hey, we've got a bit of a silver lining. Bit of a silver lining here, my friend. You were talking about how you don't like the no-tier version of the Ezreal builds. You much prefer the Mythicless version, and we do have Raheen building toward the Manamune here at the very start just to make sure he can get stacking on that. So we have some scaling power, hopefully, coming online for later in the game for the Ezreal.
Yeah, and we'll see what that's going to manage to do. Right now, Ezreal and Bard are really far behind the Senna and Set. And we already talked to... Oh, hold on.
Oh, we don't even have time to talk about it, man. Value's taken down, and Rhino grabs the kill. A little bit more damage onto Big. Won't sing much of a song, considering Set is still plenty tanky and can't be taken down. But good moves coming out from Zoos, trying to keep this game nice and close.
Yeah, you see Flowers, I was saying, they're right behind him, literally. You know, that's
they're
what
right
we were going for.
They're right there.
Value ends up getting taken down, but... Like I was mentioning, the Senna eventually just basically laughs at Ezreal and says that I basically do everything that you do, but better, and I heal my teammates. And that is a very much needed kill onto the Senna. It's going to stall her down, it's going to make sure that she doesn't get any more souls underneath the turret, and Set's going to be left to his own devices. Okay, Anda managing to escape.
Get out of there, man. This is not where the spider wants to be. So Anda's out. He's got his Sorcerer shoes to make sure he can run all the way away. Viper's going down there just trying to zone RBM away, but what are you going to do? Even when he's eating the apples, he's still faster than you are. So he's fine. Doesn't really care too much about that. Five Fire continues farming up here in the mid lane. And honestly, after Five Fire's unfortunate early lane, he's doing just fine here in mid. He's one wave behind. He's stacking up AP on the Veigar, getting those passive bonuses ready to go. That's going to make this gold lead more deceptive than it truly is. So things are perfectly all right here for the Veigar.
Yeah, everything is looking pretty right now as, okay, we have a very big Herald fight. Now, the base value... Oh, that was a
really good true shot barrage, and Big is now starting it off here with a two-man face breaker with a playmaker with the Earth Shaker. Rhino is down. Five Fire staying alive here as Darkwings tries to come in from the other angle and look for the kill. They're going over the wall. They're staying alive. They're getting away from the Orn Horn. No Org trying to regroup here above the Rift Herald pit. Viper going right back in with a rocket jump onto Alorum's head. A little bit more damage will not find the way in. Onda running away with 200 HP remaining, and it's Zoos who get themselves the Rift Herald. It's Zoos who take the objective.
And Zoos managed to get that Rift Herald. They steal it away in front of No Org, who are forced to retreat in what looked like a Trader Bard portal. Not ended up mattering there, as RBM...
RBM a little close, man. He was sitting around there in them brushes. Value and Big chasing after. Five Fire with some nice damage up the wall. Darkwing's about to die, but the counterattack is coming out. Rhino with a two-man binding now, and Value's going to be taken down. Flashback over the wall to stay alive. Darkwings with 100 HP. That's 100 more than No Org wanted to see. Good stuff coming out of Zoos.
And Zeus manages to get away there without losing anyone. Viper a little too late to flash in to try to get the reset on the rocket jump with just one auto on Azir. It would have been enough, and you can see No Org, they're looking for Ornn right now. Are they going to check? Alorum is going to get tagged down.
He already flashed earlier. They're just chopping down the old tree. Onda takes the kill credit. I would have much rather seen it go over to Tristana compared to Elise, but hey, kill's a kill.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And Elise, I mean, she is 2-1-1 right now, and she might just be thinking, I want to try to accelerate towards the mythic item, but I still think that Tristana hitting it first is definitely a lot better right now. Infernal Dragon is up, and Zoos are going to be the ones that end up getting it. And now this puts them in a position they've been in time and time again in this series. They're up Drakes, they're in a really good spot, but will they have the patience to not just endlessly get caught out and then just try to let the game play out into Soul Point?
Well, that's the story that we've had for the first two games, right? Zeus seems to get impatient. Zeus wants to jump in and always start things off, even if they're better off just letting it cruise for a while. So let's see if game number 3 has taught them that lesson. They do still have to keep in mind that their opponents will be stacking up as the game goes forward. Veigar has infinite AP. Senna has infinite range. So they will have to make that choice eventually. Checking back in on the Ezreal here in the bottom lane. Tier stacked up to 282 mana here on this thing. Alice, I actually learned something the other day, and it was really badass that I found out. Because, you know, so in League of Legends, there's a lot of things that don't make a lot of sense in the items, right? Like 2 sticks puts together and it makes a hat. And Tier, I always thought was one of those things. Because why would Tier evolve into a sword, right? Doesn't make any sense. It's foolishness. But it's not. Because the item is called Mana Mune after the 1500s Japanese swordsman Masamune. And Masamune only had one eye because he had an infection of his tear duct that he had to cut the eye out because of. The tear eventually created the swordsman.
Oh, okay. Wow, that was darker than Seraphine using Skarner's people.
It's not that dark. And hey, come on, he became a very, very powerful warlord and everything. It's not dark. It's a happy ending. It's a Disney Channel ending with some HBO storytelling to get there. All right, it's fine.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I'll make sure to check that one out later for sure. That's okay. We got 3 minutes until the mountain dragon.
That's why I was telling the story. We had downtime.
Oh my god, there's never downtime with these two teams. There's always going to be a little bit of action. That's all right. Elise, I'm not sure what mythic she's actually going to go into because of the disrespect. There's no Merc Treads on anyone right now. There's not even a Verdant Barrier on Darkwings. I have no idea what he's doing. Foregoing that item that also would have let him trade aggressively against Vygar in lane, even standing inside of an event horizon. And so a little bit of Boris coming out here in this match, but definitely not the worst. Hold on. Okay. They're looking for a dive up here.
Yeah, this could be some scary stuff. When you look at the itemization of Alorum, he is 100% armor. He's not very resistant to what Onda's able to bring to the table. You can see Viper putting a lot of damage into him. Alorum just going to go ahead and use the Summoner Spellbook heal right there. Just trying to maximize his chances of being able to live through this. Onda up into the air, right back down. Darkwing's getting away here with the TP. His 5-fire tries to survive against RBM underneath the turret, and he'll do it. RBM, no! RBM ends up getting the kill with the bird.
And this is really, really, really big. And so the Vygar, who was looking like he was going to be in a really good position after the Azir teleport in top, not able to find anything, Big feeling like he wants to get a part of the action.
Oh, Big is ready, man. Value's chasing after Raheen, trying to continue on here with this fight. Auto Q, a little bit more damage going down with Rhino running away through that magical portal here in the wall. Value does not have Dawning Shadow to go for the snipe kill, so Raheen will be able to live to see another day. But man, this game, we got 10 kills, 14 minutes in. The next Drake is spawning here in about 90 seconds for even more blood. We are getting a fun one, Mr. LS.
Oh, we are definitely having a very accelerated game here. One of the bad news bears things for Zoos this game, though, is that all the gold in terms of kills is on the Bard and the Udyr. Two of the targets you don't want to have, but hold on. Vygar gets tagged.
Nicely done. Good timing right as soon as he gets out of the stasis there from Rhino 2, locking him down. 5-fire's about to die, and Dark Wings gets paid for it. Onda shows up, but you don't want to be fighting the Azirs at 3 levels down, at least not in a solo kind of environment, my friend. Really big meme coming around from the side with a little bit more damage down into Big, but he gets away. 6-5 now for Zoos.
And Zoos are constantly finding these small little micro edges again this time around as they're really bullying 5-fire. He is 1 in 4. He's trying to live up to his name. He's trying to get to the number 5 deaths here, maybe before the next dragon. But we take a look at what happens here. So Elise tries to go for the turret dive. Teleport comes in from Azir. Shurima Shuffle does not connect. And Onda barely lives. And that's why you got to use your potions. That is exactly a nice little reason to show you. Yep, Kraken Slayer now coming back into life. 15 seconds till this Mountain Dragon. And this is a pretty important Drake that I don't think No Org wants to forego. I would be very surprised if they just let Zoos take this one for free. So let's see what ends up happening here. It's going to spawn right now. And obviously Zoos, they're already in position for it. Viper has teleport. Will he come down?
Okay, Zoos on the Drake, taking it down to about half HP. True Shot Barrage flying out, finds its way onto Viper. Nice CC coming down. 5-fire around from the side with the execution on the enemy mid laner here to start things off. Alorum's going to be slammed over the wall before we can get the second part of the ulti coming out here on the Ornn. Viper continues with the flash, going in for the plays, going right back out, staying safe. Alorum stuck on top of the event horizon. Really big memes taken down. 4 for nothing. No Org answers the dragon, and they answer in style.
And that is going to be a massive shift in power, where No Org now pole vault themselves to 3,000 gold ahead. And I'm not really... Whoa, wait, what? Zoos got the mountain? What? They ended... I thought it was stolen away by No Org, but it doesn't matter. Come back into live, and now... Okay, Ezreal's going to get completely tagged. Big. But Zoos... okay, the scoreboard is really messing with you right now. Flowers, take it away.
That's okay. The scoreboard trolled a little bit. Don't worry about that thing over there on the side. That was marked incorrectly. It's okay. We all make human errors, but the biggest human error of the past 5 minutes was right there by Zoos Gaming in the Drake pit as the fight went to hell in a handbasket. No Org, 10-6. 4,000 gold lead. Stop the soul stack. 5Fire's about to get himself farmed. Boy, what are you doing there? Really big meme picking up a free kill, and they'll grab the Herald at least.
Well, he's hit his perfect breakpoint. He has 5 deaths, and he has 5 kill contributions, so it doesn't get much better than this right now for him. Really living up to his name. As now, that's going to be the second Ripchild captured, but it doesn't have a lot of viable use. The mid-tier 1 turret was already broken. In the side lane turrets, that's just basically going to be luxurious at this point. Alorum, his mythic item that he went for was Frostfire Gauntlet, but the reality is that if he's ever on top of these ranged champions, they're probably just a second away from getting away from him anyway. Raheen!
Oh. Damn!
Well, you just get sat on by Tristana down in the bot lane. No reason to be walking up to that wave, and their mental might just be breaking. Let's take a look at the Mountain Dragon. So take a look at how late Raheen was here to this fight. Event Horizon, trapping everyone inside of that cage. No one had anywhere to go. Really good cancel by Big with the superplex onto the Ornn, making it so that he can't activate that R2. Tristana hops away, but the flash forward by Big with the face breaker again, just locking everyone up, and Ezreal managed to get away, but not for long. He was killed moments after that, and now Noorg, such a commanding position of this game. With that Mountain Dragon picked up, they guarantee they get at least another 12, 13 minutes of scaling as soon as they captured that dragon.
The game felt so close up until that point because of the potential soul win condition that was on the table for Zoos. But after a 5-for-0, after the fact that, oh no, 5Fire, what was that flash? That was incredibly unfortunate. But now they're trying to go for the rest of the damage and kill off the enemy mid laner. Darkwing gets it done, but Raheen is already dead. What in the world? 5Fire just made sure he took one with them. Horn coming in. Big's your target, thrown up into the air. Haymaker keeping him protected. Value looking for a little bit more damage here. Root down into RBM as he tries to run away. Onda still here on the side. Viper also approaching towards the fight, but they got to be careful. There are only 3 men on the map right now. 5Fire's still dead. Big is not in a spot to be able to fight. He is healing up, teleporting back in, so it's a 4v4. But what in the world was that damage onto Raheen, man? This Ezreal is not allowed to play some League of Legends here today.
Well, Ezreal he's very low level right now inside of the game, and 5Fire, he's been inting to win, because with each takedown, each large monster consumption, he's getting a lot of AP on the Veigar.
Yeah.
So it's just something that you wouldn't understand, Captain Flowers. You don't get it. You need to int to win on Veigar, clearly here.
Yeah. Every time you die, you're making sure that when you die, you're going back to base with 300 gold's worth of extra AP from killing the guy with your R button. So
there you go.
Once if he gets up to 24 deaths or something similar, the man is ready to go. Let's take another look at how it started, because right here, he had an unlucky flash, tried to get away, didn't work, comes right back down. Let's see the damage. Raheen goes in, 5Fire says, nah, peace. QR. Boom. QR electrocute. Boom.
And that was a love shot if I've ever seen one. They end up going 1-for-1, and Raheen probably could not even anticipate what happened. And obviously, the Haymaker right there by Set, able to keep him alive, and Noorg, yet again, just like all of the previous games, as soon as it hits mid-game, they start just having a lot more cohesion and a lot more to work with, and Zeus just keep falling apart. But hold on, 5.
Oh, 5Fire, can he get one though? Nope. Okay, there was no trade that time.
He'll be up for Dragon, and he has TP.
Okay, no, he'll be back in time. He'll be back in time. Mostly. But Viper is still putting in plenty of work up here in the top lane. So much attack speed with Kraken Slayer, plus Phantom Dancer, plus Tristana Q. It is just a 2.5 attacks per second machine gun here. A little bit more damage will get it done. Say goodbye, Mr. Tier 2 Turret. Say hello, Mr. 5,000 gold lead. Zoos trying to get whatever control over this bottom side river they can. They've got some wards they still got to clear away. Alorum got rid of one of them, but critically, that one sneaky little ward there still in the pixel brush. Keeping an eye on what Zeus is doing and where they're going. Drake has been started up, but we've seen this song before, LS. Can they do it and get away this time? Okay, Bard ulti comes out, but it only finds its way onto Viper. Ornn ult also used now, but will not be able to find success here yet again. Haymaker coming out from Big, trying to make the play, staying alive, flashing out, getting away, onto with a killing spree. Right back in goes Big. Viper's on a rampage. Really big meme is down, and it happened again. No Org outplaying their opponents in the 5v5, winning themselves a fight around the Drake pit. Honda goes up to the repel. Beautiful damage coming down. The turret even dies somewhere else with 5 fire grabbing a kill on the Shuriman Emperor. Viper's finally shut down by Raheen, but the Drake goes over to No Org.
And No Org, they pick up another dragon and yet another really key win. And I mean, that's why 5Wire died. He died so that he baited Zeus into starting the dragon. You wouldn't get it. It's totally fine. But right here in the fight, Zeus, Alorum, he casts his Ornal really, really, really late. And he should have been way further behind his team as all of this was starting. So because they allowed Norg to pull the trigger, Vygar was able to get here, get the event horizon, and then you see they're still posturing. They don't want to give up this dragon because it can bring them to Soul Point, but yet another event horizon sucking them in like a black hole. And that is exactly what Zoos are staring down right now as this game gets further and further away, and it doesn't look like there's any light at the end of the tunnel here in this game as Zoos. I'm not sure what they're supposed to do. This is 2 Mountain Drakes now as we go to a pause. Welcome to the version of LCK here. Hello.
Happy to have you all back here with us. And as we go to a pause, I do want to bring up the fact that this man next to me is a prophet. He predicted this, I will have you know. Because let's rewind back before this series began today. Let's rewind a couple of hours, shall we? Hop in the time machine here real fast. Back here before game number 1, I asked LS, I said, we're casting together. We got North American games. We got a best of 5. Wins the pause going to happen. And he says it'll happen in game 3. It'll happen when one team has a super commanding lead. And then we're just going to pause for 45 minutes. And I was like, man, that sounds crazy. That's wild. But yet, I greet you here today.
Thank you.
Happy to have y'all with us.
Very good. And honestly, I mean, I'm glad that we're getting to see a lot of pick diversity here, though. I mean, the Vygar obviously coming out by Norg is really nice to see. The gameplay might not be a sight for sore eyes for it, but listen, he's making it work. He's just trying to int to win. And that, that's ultimately all that counts. But Zoos, I mean, when we do get back into the game, Zoos are really, really far behind now inside this game. Further behind than I think they ever were at any other point in the mid-game in any of the previous sets. And I think that is going to be really nerve-wracking for them because it seems like they're panicking.
Yeah, things for Zoos just keep going from bad to worse. Watching them repeat the same sins of the previous dragon fight at the current dragon fight. That's the second time now in these situations where we've seen the second half of the Ornhorn not really used just because their opponents are managing to shut him down and CC him as he wants to find the headbutt to bonk it back into him. So I guess the question that I raise here now is, okay, you've got an Azir and you've got an Ornn. There are scaling options here, but it's not like you're up against a comp that doesn't scale at all in its own right. We're at the point where they're 5,000 gold behind. What is the secret sauce that they got to pour on this game to have a chance to keep this series alive? Because it is so difficult at this point.
Yeah, they really need Bard ultimates to sort of create a pick onto someone. Alorum has to be cleaner with his Ornn ultimates and when he's pulling the trigger on them because he's been late on them pretty often so far inside of this game. I also think that some of the itemization is not super clean, obviously, on the side of Zoos. And I think that's obviously working against them at this point. Vygar, I last recall, he was building towards the Banshee's Veil as well, and that's just going to make it a little bit harder for the Bard ult to go in and try to pick him off. Obviously, or at least can repel up, and then they can try to juggle the aggro from there, but we're hitting a point where Senna is just going to start taking everything over, and Vygar is just going to be there to love shot people, and it's going to be way too hard.
Well, we have been informed that we are jumping right back into the game. I am so thankful that... It's not that I'm cheering for your demise or anything, man, but I'm so glad that you were wrong about it being a 45-minute pause. I've never been happier to have my co-commentator be incorrect about a prediction before the series before. I'm so glad that one was incorrect. We're back. It's only been a couple of minutes. We're here and we're ready to go. We got to see how this game ends and if this series ends or if we're going to get a game number 4 if Zoos can bring it back. 5,500 gold difference here between these two squads is quite a mountain to climb. And speaking of mountain, with both of those previous Drakes going over to no org, that means they are tied up in progress towards that mountain soul with their opponents. Nothing can be done about that for another 3.5 minutes. But hey, we're 24 minutes in right now. Baron's on the table. Both these squads have a lot of damage. Another big team fight win could lead to some purple worm action here.
Yeah, and I mean, anything like a Bard ultimate getting a pick off onto a key target could also just immediately result in a Baron capture coming in by one of the teams. Well, obviously Zoos, as they're the one with the Bard, but no Org, they're clearing out vision right now. If they really want to play this as clean as they possibly can, they will just not fight. They won't look for any sort of action. They will not consent to any sort of engage attempts by Zoos, and they'll just wait for the next mountains. And the onus is on Zoos to try to come up with some sort of an answer, because every minute that passes, Vigar is getting more and more ability power with each wave that just comes into him. Tristana scaling up further and further. Senna getting more and more souls. We'll try to get a soul count for the viewers here in just a bit. We're going to just wait for Senna to be highlighted. As Alorum, he finds himself dead again.
Yeah, he's down here. He's trying to farm. Viper shows up. He's like, okay, I can get away from Tristana. Well, what about Tristana and Set? Senna just left the party. She showed up to the party, saw there was already too many people there. It wasn't her scene. She just decided to leave. There's no reason to stay here. Walking back up towards the top half of the map instead, as Onda and Fivefire go for some damage under really big meme. He stays alive. He's perfectly fine here when the Udyr nice and tanky. Value approaching from the side. TP's showing up deep behind enemy lines. Big is there, a little overextended, but not punishable here just yet, as Viper has set up shop in the bottom lane. Oh no, Rhino, run away, buddy! Fire's got the kill, and Rhino is off the map. It is a 5v3 on Summoner's Rift for the next 10 seconds, and just as I pointed out a moment ago, they are marching straight over to Baron.
Yeah, and they're gonna definitely get this Baron. With Vigar's Event Horizon, there's no way for Udyr to path through and even attempt some sort of a steal here. I mean, he's gonna obviously go for it. RBM on the left-hand side, but it should be Fivefire able to lock him down. No, they want to fight.
Okay, RBM's just getting locked up. Very good placement of the cage. Puts it so if he tries to flash over the wall, he's still stuck, while keeping the edge in a spot to still stun him regardless. Very, very well done there from No Org, taking out the enemy jungler. That's the big threat of the steal. Yeah, they might show up and try to fight you, but they're not really that low of HP, not enough to make up for the fact that the enemy's a 4v5. Baron No Org.
And Baron goes over to No Org. This Baron leads right into the next Mountain Drake as well. So as if things weren't already really bad for Zoos, it's going to be almost a guaranteed third Mountain Dragon for No Org. And I am not totally sure how they can come back at this point, because you have the stopwatch on Elise. She has the repel. Even if you land a Bard ultimate onto Tristana or Senna, all of her teammates are going to be there for either one respectively. It's not like you're going to be able to time some sort of a magical engage, and nothing is really going well for them. All of their champions are just so far behind inside of this game that it is really looking grim right now for Zeus.
Big caught out a little bit, but as the set, he doesn't really care. He just puts himself in a better position for the face breaker, for the playmaker. Slams really big meme right back into the CC of the cage. Fivefire grabbing another one up to 6 kills now. Everybody thought he was just doing the int to win. He's at the point where he doesn't even have to int anymore. It's just winning. 6, 7, and 6. Needs one more kill to equal the death count, and the boy is just providing the damage. He's the cannon here for his squad. Every single time somebody's in a spot where he could be killed, the cage is in the right spot, and the damage follows it up. No Org. 10,000 gold ahead with that turret falling there in the mid lane. Bottom lane inhibitor turret already just cracked open and destroyed. Value and Big putting the shots into the mid lane inhibitor turret now too. Viper the only man required to take down Inhib in bot. It's about to be a 2-inhib game right here and now. Dark Wings is coming back to the base here, but as they see their opponents backing away, they leave Dark Wings in the top lane long enough to get the tier 2. But a tier 2 versus half your base, not a trade you want to take.
Yep, and Zeus now, they know that the opponents are going to just go over and get the Mountain Dragon, which is what No Org is doing right now. 10,000 gold lead. Going to be 3 Mountain Drakes. So that is so much amplification to the stats, and for a team with Ornn, Udyr, Ezreal, Bard, these are not champions that ever get pen. They never end up picking up penetration. So even though there's no tanks on the side of Norg, all of them are actually just sort of becoming tanks. So they're becoming like bruiser level equivalency of resistances on their champions. Now, Mountain Soul Point is threatened. Zeus, they must be thinking, well, what can we possibly do to win this? And honestly, without any split push options, they need to just pull off a miracle team fight to try to get back into this game, somehow win the Baron, and then convert into a Mountain Drake capture of their own, and then pull it back with a Soul Point capture. That's the only bastion of hope, I guess, for them in this game right now.
Rhino might just be caught out, nearly killed off here yet again. Really big meme over the wall, looking for the damage onto 5 fire, but he flashes back over the wall his opponent just came from to get away. Biggs going in, wanting the big play into the back line. He goes for it here with a face breaker, brings his opponent right back there. Really big meme going to be taken down onto in the stasis, staying alive. Dark's Wings goes for the shuffle, keeping himself safe, but only for a moment. Big is down to 100 HP, but it's enough. It's enough to keep him going. Viper with a jump with a reset, looking for a little bit more damage, but he's stunned up against the wall. They're on the victory march. No org. They're going for their vengeance here and now. It is Raheen and Dark Wings trying to keep this one alive for Zoos. But 2v5 is not the kind of equation you're going to win here, my friends. Dark Wings falls. Raheen falls. It is all over. No org. 3-0 over Zoos Gaming, the team that sent them into the lower bracket. No org will take their revenge. They will do it beautifully. They will do it cleanly. And they will earn their spot in the best of 5 tomorrow against Solafide.
And No Org now coming off of a very dominant win here. Zoos obviously trying to put up as much of a fight as they possibly could. And even in the last game, really tripling down on that scaling. But in doing so, because they were on blue side, they kept getting answered every step of the way. So leaves you questioning what was maybe the thought process there. And obviously No Org, they just came clearly much better equipped today overall, but their mid and late game significantly better, and it kept showing time and time again, and we'll see what that means for them tomorrow in the grand finals.
That final is going to be very exciting because Solafide defeated Zoos 2-0 to knock Zoos down to the lower bracket here, and then now No Org beat Zoos 3-0. So clearly, both No Org and Solafide are a step above, and now we get to see them go head-to-head. I have been told by people very well-versed in the amateur scene and its history and its lore that this is the matchup that everybody has always been wanting to see. This is the one that has seemingly evaded everyone, despite the fact that both these teams have such high expectations for themselves. They just never got to meet until this point. And having them meet in the grand final, that's the best medicine for an awesome tournament, man. I am excited to see what happens between these two tomorrow.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to casting it with you. Obviously, we will be back tomorrow at the same exact start time. And with that, we're going to see them both collide yet again. And Solafide, much like some of the other teams that No Org has taken down, a lot of previous LCS players or players that have been in Academy for a while are on this team. And so it's going to be a similar battle for them to try to overcome. And we'll see what the drafts and everything else has in store for them.
Well, I think the biggest thing that I'm looking at here is that advantage that you were talking about for No Org over Zoos today, where a lot of these players have experience playing on bigger stages and on bigger teams. It gives them that decision-making edge in mid and late game. When you're up against other players who have the same experience, all of a sudden, the edge cuts both ways. That means if they make some mistakes like what we saw, especially during the mid game of game 1, where it looked like they were almost going to throw the game and then Zoos were brought back into a spot of even contention despite being 5,000 gold behind. Solafide is probably a team that'll have the answer more readily prepared and ready to go up against No Org. So No Org, we got to see some awesome highlights from them today. Definitely a couple of things we want to see them figure out and improve a little bit, especially around the mid game. But man, that best of 5 versus Solafide, especially with so many of these names having had that higher level experience before, I want to see some more pop-offs. Maybe a couple less Veigar deaths. Just a couple.
No, you don't get it. I mean, it's totally fine. I mean, you have to die to get ability power. That's just how it works.
That's the trade. I'm waiting for 3 or 4 years from now, when Riot has gone through more unique stuff to slap on champions, they eventually just come up with a guy who gets bonus AP or AD every time he dies. It's like, you're dead? Okay, well, we're going to give you a little bit more power here. It'll be like a weird child of Inting Scion and ability power Veigar. You can just get everybody together, have the dude die 1,400 times, and then you can't outscale him. You actually have to avoid trying to kill him in order to make sure that the game stays fair.
Like Annie and Silver. I mean, it's totally fine, you know? I mean,
like it's Annie and Silver.
You know, I mean, you gotta pick Annie. You want to win gold promos.
You heard it here. All y'all watching at home, you in them gold promos? Pick the Annie. Or if you're autofilled to jungler, here's what you do. You pick Skarner. You press op.gg. You find whoever on the enemy team is on a loss streak, and you ult him on cooldown. He's gonna rage quit or yell at the other people on his team. It's not ethical, but it gets you wins. And it gets you a bunch of them. I got to Diamond 1 doing it. If I can do it, you can do it.
Well, we hopefully maybe we'll see Skarner tomorrow, Captain Flowers.
I hope we do. He's getting a lot of play now. He's popular. Yeah. People are picking him in the LCS. And if they're playing him in amateur's where people are more willing to experiment with more offensive builds too. So we might even get to see Chad Skarner. Probably not, but we might get to see Chad Skarner, which I hope we do.
We didn't get to see any Moonstones today.
No, there were no Moonstones. We were talking about that beforehand, about some of the crazy tooltips that can come out when you compare this item's healing versus other items' damage. And then we didn't get to see a single one. Yeah. None of them. What about, so we saw plenty of Lilia today. In the 2 Lilia games, would you have rather seen the Moonstone?
No, I don't think that they were Moonstone games. I think Moonstone in general, you have to look at like how many ability power ratios do your teammates have if they're not just outright mages or enchanters, because sometimes that equation comes into play, right? Like Aphelios, a lot of people don't know Aphelios has a lot of AP ratios on his abilities, so he's still a good user of it, right? Or if movement speed is extremely valuable against the enemy team or for your team, sometimes you can get it anyway, right? With the Staff of Flowing Water, but I think in today's games, it was correct to not go it. I was just surprised because Firefire tweeted before the games about Moonstone. We didn't get to see any though.
Yeah, Firefire tweeting about the Moonstone Skarner. Maybe we'll see that one tomorrow. But for now, that is it here for the day from LS and myself. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Show's not quite over yet now, and we are going to toss to an interview with Anda.
Hey, thanks for that. And congratulations, Zonda, for the game and finding yourself in the finals tomorrow. One question that I've had is, like, I've noticed that you're, like, the most respected jungler, or at least the jungler respected as being the strongest in this tournament. What about working with this group of people on your team has allowed you to just run roughshot, like, just to do what you want?
I think the first thing is that I was already friends with everyone before I joined the team, except for Value, I guess. But I have previous team experience with everyone else, and pretty close friends with everyone too. And I think Value as well, he has shown a lot of improvement, so I've been really happy with him. But yeah, I guess they just put a lot of trust in me, so they let me play my game.
Yeah, it's been working out really well. I mean, and I think the confidence comes from, like, the journey that you've had. You know, you had that journey through LCS and Academy. Like, a lot of the conversations that I've had with, you know, players who are in Academy or players who are kind of working through Amateur as well, is like kind of the personal goals that they've had. What lesson would you say you've taken away, like any lesson really, that you had in your time in Amateur?
The biggest thing is, I think it's really refreshing to play so many games in Amateur. And I think one big thing was, for my career, I guess, was when I played LCS, I had like no jungle experience prior to that, so it was all pretty much a learning experience for me, playing the LCS and learning the jungle role and all of that. But yeah, it's just really refreshing to get so many games in.
Yeah, you've been killing it. I mean, with the 2 championships that you've had with NoOrg so far. And for me, like, question that I have is more so, what are you looking forward to most going up against Solo Fide? Solo Fide have been honestly with you guys at the top of Amateur, a lot of experienced players between the both of you. What are you looking for?
I think since today in our match we didn't play the cleanest, I think we got to clean up a lot of our mistakes today, or for the future, because they're a pretty good team, and yeah, we haven't played versus them yet, so I think it's going to be an interesting match. And yeah.
All right, man. Good luck on that one. Once again, congratulations on the tournament. Any final point that you want to make before we, head out? You can, celebrate with your team.
Just shouts out to my teammates and parents and friends and the Anda Pandas, of course.
Sweet. Thanks a lot for the interview, brother.
Thank you.
All right. You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Well, damn. NoOrg definitely went for the 3-0, and who predicted that one?
I definitely predicted them winning.
Okay.
Yeah, nobody could have seen that coming.
That one was a crazy game. A lot of it from the draft. I felt like the draft itself was a little wild. A lot of experimentation. Well, it was something that we kind of heard of with the interview from Darkwings talking about the pocket pick that Five Fire had. So they even had the set coming in as a flex, and then they went towards the Veigar. What did you love the most about this, or like, what was your takeaway from the draft here, Irene?
I really just don't like playing against Veigar. Like, as soon as he was locked in, I was telling you guys, I was like, Veigar is the one champion in League of Legends that I absolutely just hate playing against. Captain Flower said a little bit of it where, like, you're playing an engaged champion, it's just going to stunt all of your engages. And if it's played well, it feels like kind of helpless if you're playing any sort of melee champion against it. But the saving grace was Bard Ornn. Like, I was like, I wouldn't want to be playing Veigar against those two champions in particular because they're going to be gunning for me. But so much went strange early on, went haywire, that I was just like, it feels like nobody's getting a chance to breathe, to really set up any plays. And Veigar is just like, yeah, I'm dead. You're dead too. Like, it's just like, at least get some back for it. But I love the Veigar pick, even though I hate it, right? It's one of those things.
Yeah, we even heard, I know, hearing LS on the cast talking about how the draft itself, the Veigar pick made a lot of sense. Tim, did you, like, what other takeaways did you have from this one? We saw the PTA on, we saw the PTA coming in from Elise. I know something you wanted to mention on Zyrene. But, like, before we get to that one specifically, what else did you like about this draft, Tim?
Yeah, I think I just loved all the flexing Noorg did. The set, you'd think it's going mid, and then it goes to support. They bring in the Veigar, Tristana goes top. I mean, it was not really flex because I'm pretty sure it was the last pick, but the ability they had to move these champions all around their comp, that's something that you get when you're a team with this much like individual skill, and you're a team built around that individual skill rather than a team built around cohesion and measured gameplay and all that kind of thing. And that just made it fun to watch. This game was so much fun. It was a glorious mess, but it was a lot of fun to watch.
So Zyrene, PTA Elise, you love the pick, or at least like you love the idea because you've seen it before. Walk me through it a little bit.
Yeah, press the attack is a thing that some people take on Elise because when you're in spider form, you do auto, W resets your auto, and then you can Q. And Q, since I believe like 10.23, applies on hits. So auto, W, Q instantly makes press the attack go off. So even if you want to get like a cheeky, like, human form auto attack in before you do your combo, it just makes it so much faster to get off. So it also enables the Tristana and the rest of the team with the double ADs to do a lot of damage. And Elise is an interesting pick here because I was talking about dive buddies. Big is going to be real big because it's a fasting center. He's going to get all that golden bottom lane, right? So he's not a normal support. He's going to have way more stats. And the Elise, little squishy, but gets to go in, press the attack on, and then go into repel. And while she's up there, they're just going to be just blasting damage into people. You saw people start melting later in the game. So at least having one of your people bring press the attack is good.
Yeah, and let's go straight into it just to show the example that you had, like in these dragon fights that were coming through. You were right about Veigar being annoying as all hell because every single time a cage was put down, you had multiple body bags stuck in the cobwebs. And so there was that aspect of it, and the tanks were just getting bursted down.
This was just tragic because it felt like this was the part where Zoos was going to play to their strength. This is where they were going to get the team fight. But nope, gets yeeted right out of the pit. And then Big is just, like I said, really tanky here. He's got all the gold from the bottom side. And then you just have Viper jumping in and out. That original Event Horizon, I sat there and I was like, what made that possible? And I was like, the fact that it was Mountain. The fact that it was a Mountain Rift and Mountain Drake was the third Drake. I think if it's any other Drake, you can't get that exact same one because that little bit of terrain that pops up where there's only two small exits out of the pit, meant that they couldn't pull the dragon out as far as they would want to, and they all kind of got funneled into one spot. So it was just insane that all these things lined up, and Five Fire, I mean, Tim, I think you said something like it's the best 7-death game I've ever seen.
Give Raz credit on that one, but no, I mean, I do want to continue that point about Five Fire because I think people who have been watching Five Fire know that he can snowball really hard either direction. There are games where he can just pop off and get double-digit kills. There are games he can get double-digit deaths. But what I really liked about this game was we got a little bit of what I like to call the one fire at the start of the game. He dies to the turret, he TPs back in, he dies again. He kind of, is starting this anti-snowball, but he still found ways to make positive plays and have some really big contributions in the game, despite getting set on that bad path. And the fact that he could hold his mental game together well enough to make good contributions, even though he was having a really bad game in certain other ways, I think is a great sign for him in his development.
Yeah, I mean, even mentioning the the best 7-death game, like for sure, like that he's ever had. Because like even going into the next team fight, 22 minutes in, it's gonna feel like a pretty much a mirrored image of the previous one. Where how do you fight into that? And I talked about it, getting burnt, tanks getting burned. Well, take a look at this team fight. I take it away because where's Ornn going?
Well, yeah. He was up in the front. It was a little strange. Go ahead.
And boom, go.
No, I mean, just the fact that they were able, that No Org were able to, they had a lot of range CC in this comp, right? With the Senna Snare, the Veigar Cage, the Elise, and, Tristana can knock people away. And the fact that they're able to manage the ranges of these team fights and not allow, Ornn and Udyr to just stand where they want to stand and actually, like, punish them for being squishy. I think that made a huge difference. And then the fact that also Big was able to farm up so much and he could do a little bit of frontlining of his own, which we normally wouldn't expect out of a support set. But as the support pair in a Fasting Senna duo, now it's not just a normal support set, right? This is actually a legitimate tank. So I think those pieces in their comp, they use them together really well. And man, those big cages and those huge bursts was fun to watch.
Yeah, I don't think they ever really got to use their composition. Like that was the thing that was a little heartbreaking for Zoos is they had such good team fighting on paper. You have the Ornn, you have the Bard, you have great ways to set it up, but they were kind of waiting for the other person to throw theirs first because you don't want to like overlap them, obviously. And that was the big thing there is it looked like Fire that Veigar got close enough to put a cage down to an Ornn casting ultimate. That's the mistake right there is the Ornn is in the front line already before his ultimate's off, and the Veigar was able to walk up and do that without being punished. So if you watch that fight again, like if people go back and watch it, the Veigar's hanging out near the top side of that fight, really close to where the action's going to happen to put that down. So the fact that Fire was kind of like, I don't care that I died a lot, I'm just going to do this, put the cage down, okay, guys go, like, at least he knew what his job was in the composition, right? He wasn't going to bring the damage at that point. He was going to be bringing some burst, but he was also going to bring something that shut down the entire composition of the enemy team. And that was that was really where he got the value of the pick.
And I think for me, now that we've talked about the match as a whole, or at least the game and the series, it's a bit of a send-off now for Zeus. We can even throw out the bracket and just take a look at it. I'll go directly to Tim here on Zoos Gaming. What was the takeaway that you had from this team throughout the tournament? Like something you'd like to see from them after this event? Because of course we should be able to see them again in the next tier 1. And also, what did you like the most out of Zeus in this tournament?
Yeah, I thought we talked about coming into the series how they like to play through their bot lane a lot, and I think we did see some pretty good things from that. I think I appreciate Rhino's willingness to try to make plays and to put himself out there a lot, which is a mentality that I think this is something that's said very often about young players, but it's a lot easier to rein in aggression than it is to teach somebody to stop being so conservative. So I appreciate the fact that they were able to run through this bracket, get as far as they did, end up third in this tournament, and that Rhino was out there, putting himself out there, trying things out. I think we've seen some really good signs from him, and especially that he has come out of a very brief amount of kind of a poor academy experience, and he's still trying to get himself back onto that stage. That's something I want to see. And also, we didn't see the best of the Dark Wings this series. I'm looking forward to him getting kind of back on the track that he was at before today, honestly, and seeing if he can kind of, redeem his trajectory a little bit for the next tournament.
Yeah, and I did a flub up, of course. They're not going to be in the next tier 1. They've already qualified into the Proving Ground. It's just more of a seeding. Right. So at the end of the day, like they got an ultimate goal out of themselves to go into Proving Grounds and to prove themselves again. So Zyrene, what would you want to see from this team like next time around when they get that ultimate shot in the Proving Grounds to make them a viable threat?
Well, I was actually just going to look at what Alorem said, because he made a tweet just now about how the further they got, the more teams knew how to actually play versus their style and draft. And he says the next few weeks of practice before PG will hopefully give us the time we need to be more diverse. Overall, finishing third isn't that bad, and I think we broke some expectations. GG's. I think he put it pretty much everything that I'd want to say here is I think they need to be a little bit more diverse in their style. It's very predictable that they're going to play towards the bottom side and that he's just going to soak top lane, right? And they tried, yeah, exactly. And they play red side, and they did try to mix it up a little bit and like counter invade during the start, right? And figure out their opponents. But at the end of the day, this is an improvement for them, right? Everybody goes into a tournament wanting to get first, but if you've been in tournaments before and you've been struggling in positioning, you maybe gotten fourth is your best one, getting third and qualifying for the next tournament is actually an improvement, and everybody on the team should be happy with that.
100%. I hope to see more out of Zeus, of course, when they end up going into the Proving Grounds. And I hope to see the best of the two teams tomorrow. Solar Fide going to be going up against No Org in our finals. That'll be all for this day. Thank you guys for all joining us. Thank you, Zyrene and Tim, for the being on the desk with me. And thanks for the casters of LS and Captain Flowers. We will see more of you guys, of course, tomorrow. Stay tuned. Same time, same place, of course. And that will be all for us tonight. Thank you guys, and goodbye.
The esports industry is growing at a staggering rate. Teams from all over the world compete to see who will be champions. Are you ready? If you're serious about expanding your team or looking for technology to attract top talent, IVCI can give you the competitive edge you need to succeed. With state-of-the-art labs, studio technology, training facilities, or competitive venues that will have them waiting in lines. IVCI is your nationwide integrator. Solutions that inspire and enable success by aligning with our premier industry partners. We offer custom design and consultation services, flexible finance options, and all of our solutions can be covered with elite 24/7 support to keep your systems running at warp speed. Proudly powering professional esports with industry leaders like UEA. Whether you're a new organization trying to figure out where to start, or an established team taking it to the next level, IVCI is your partner that will be there to help you win. Scan the QR code or check out our website to schedule a free consultation with our team. We work, you play.